ATMs. They're using contactless and online payments instead. Ron Delnevo is Executive Director of the ATM Industry Association for Europe, joins us now, as you see. Ron, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
As a starting point, how does the Link network actually work?
Okay, well, all the ATM operators in the UK are members of the Link network, and basically, if a customer of, say, Lloyds Bank goes to a Barclays ATM, Barclays get paid what's called the link interchange by Lloyds for carrying out that transaction effectively on Lloyds' behalf. So that's the way the network works. So there's a small payment, it's called interchange, that's made when the customer of one organisation uses another organisation's ATMs.
And there's a proposal that that modest charge will change.
Well, the proposals are apparently for a 20% reduction in interchange over the next 4 years. Now, considering that in Britain we already have the most efficient ATMs on the planet, so the costs are low, this is a swing and certainly makes it likely that many ATMs will become uneconomic to run, and it could mean that they either are deinstalled or switch to be charging ATMs, which I'm sure will not go down well with the public.
Because I think, you'll correct my arithmetic if it's wrong, I think that Link have got 70,000 ATMs in the UK, of which 55,000 are free to use. And I suppose the point is that when those market towns were told that the local branch of Lloyds or Barclays, whatever, was closing, they didn't raise merry hell because they were also told there'd be an ATM. Now, when the ATM goes, well, they could be forgiven for being genuinely upset.
Well, they're going to be very upset because basically we've already got perhaps 2,000 plus communities, villages, small towns that are bank branch deserts. Now, if they become ATM deserts, those communities, those villages, those towns will wither and die, economically and socially. So we're going to see a tragedy enacted if this happens. Communities that have no access to financial services, including access to cash, do not survive. Shops close down, other businesses close down, people go elsewhere to live their daily lives. So we are going to witness, if we're not careful, a tremendous change for the worse in rural living, but also in small towns and villages around the UK.
The banks might say, well, you know, at the end of the day, we're not an agency of the state. If the state wants to keep these communities able to access cash, that's the state's responsibility. We've got very low interest rates. Makes it pretty hard for banks to turn a profit right now.
Well, most of those people in those villages and towns are actually bank customers. And despite the rumours of a cashless society coming along, which are completely unfounded, the fact is most of those people need access to cash. So we do need now the government and indeed the payment systems regulators to step up to the mark and ensure these do not take place and that the Link network is actually maintained. Basically, you know, ATMs need to be innovative today. ATMs can actually replace bank branches in those villages, in those small towns. But they can only do that with innovation, and of course they can only do that if they're still there. So that's what we need to see. The ATM's still there, not taken out, but more installed, and more high-tech ATMs where people can carry out all of the banking services they used to be able to carry out in bank branches. That's what we need.
And it's very important to remember, Ron, isn't it, that, I mean, I forget what the figure is for the number of people in the UK who have never used the internet, but it runs to many millions. And there'll be lots of people in the office where you sit right now who will think that increasingly the world is cashless. But if you're an older member of our community, that may well not apply.
Well, old and young, you know, the thing is that in convenience stores last year in the UK, 50,000 convenience stores, over 3/4 of all transactions were still carried out using cash. That's by young people, old people, everybody using those stores. Now, old people are using contactless now because older people are using contactless because they find it convenient. There's nothing wrong with innovation. But the reality is that the Bank of England reported just recently that cash in circulation went up by around 10% last year. That's not a sign of a dying industry. Let's be honest, if car sales had gone up by 10%, everybody would be saying, oh, isn't that fantastic for the car industry? If any business enjoyed a 10% increase in turnover, in circulation, then they would be saying what a great success. So there's no reason for people to worry about it becoming a cashless society, so long as we maintain convenient access to cash, not just for individuals but for businesses. At the moment, as you mentioned, with bank branches closing down, some people and some businesses have to travel miles to deposit their cash and get the cash they need to actually lives. ATMs can fill the gap that's been left by bank branches, but they need to be there. We need to see innovation, and that's where I call on the payment systems regulator, headed up by Hannah Nixon, their chief executive, to step in and insist on innovation at ATMs. We need to see transactions like the universal cash deposit implemented at ATMs. We need more innovation. We need more ATMs, because ATMs can replace bank branches around the UK.
Delnevo is Executive Director of the ATM Industry Association for Europe.